actual kayfabe or believes in the kayfabe, like MJF and AEW is probably the best classic heel at this point, where he's able to cut scathing actual promos while staying in character. And when Jake the Snake came back, he also cut a solid Jake the Snake promo.
That red light is to be believed. I believe we are live now, and welcome to a new exciting episode of Low Key on the We Are Libertarians Network. Hi, my name is Harry, aka the Moving Target. I'm here, as you guys can hear, yes. If you guys must know, we get behind the scenes. We still talk about all this stuff. It's just usually during these hours we hit record and let you guys in on the fun, the stuff that we clean up for the rest of you, because we don't have time to hit pause on YouTube channels like that. But of course, I am not alone. I do not fly solo. At least I try not to. And I bring along some of the best people to me on the Weird Libertarians Network here in the basement. I've got Reinhold with me. Reinhold, why don't you go say hi?
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I'm eating a zinger. So.
Oh, cool. We're just going to eat on air. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do.
Why not?
That's what we're doing now.
Your friends
that's what we're doing now,
right?
Shutting down the studio. I'm shutting down the studio.
As long as there's not we're not crunching chips or making crunching noises. That's out.
God, I need to do that.
Need that in my ear.
Vincent, thanks for laughing at that joke. Vincent's also here. Vincent, you go say hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm here as always. Fresh from making Nostalgia suffer yesterday. We'll talk about that more when we do the next media thing. But Nostalgia did suffer. He suffered a lot.
Good. I like when he suffers. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Yeah. But I should probably do that as a skit. Just me just threatening and turning off the studio when some bad stuff happens. That's it. I'm shutting the studio down. Cut the lights off. Wrap this stuff up.
Do people even know what that show is anymore?
I don't know. You're right. You're probably right.
that was dated when the Chappelle Show did it.
I know, right? Oh man, yeah. That's it. I will open it back up, but you're gonna have to go to find some local apple farm. Give me some apples.
But it has to be a specific.
Crap, I need
Granny Smith apple.
I know we need to do that. See, boom, boom. Look. Any business must have sponsorship. We got cool skits for you guys. Look, we got skits. We're ready to go. Anyways, so as you guys can hear, the topic we wanted to bring out superheroes, but we started talking about wrestling, and as you heard Vincent complaining about kayfabe, and you're right, kayfabe is dead. I got really mad. I was listening to the local radio station here, 93.1 WIBC, and I got very upset with them because they had a wrestler, doing, action but he's not wearing his wrestling name. He talks to him behind the scenes because everyone brings something like that. So but he's on professionally with his real name, and they keep referencing it up, and then they cracked a joke with it, right? And they were just like, dude, you just cracked a joke with my wrestling persona. I've got to keep kayfabe, right? And then they got mad at him for just I have to keep kayfabe. You can't reference my persona. Because if you do, I have to act my persona.
Mm-hmm. Again, the other example I was talking about is in AEW. MJF doesn't break character. Mm-hmm. When he does meet and greets, he literally treats all the people that are there to meet him like shit because he's a terrible person. His whole thing is that his character is a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. There's literally pictures of him flipping off 8-year-old kids there to sign posters for him. He's like, fuck that kid.
That's awesome.
That's his whole character is that he's a little shit.
Yeah, and if you liked heel characters growing up, you would have loved that. I loved heels. I would have loved it. I loved it like when you're snubbed by the heel, when you stick your hand, if you get tickets, you're at the gate and you stick your hand out there for the heel, and the heel snubs you. It's just it's so good. It feels so good.
I don't know if you know the story about Chris Jericho. That he actually got in trouble because he was in the elevator with this dad and his son. Yeah. And this is when he had his massive heel run as champion.
Mhm.
and they're trying to be nice, and he's had to keep character the whole time. He treated this dad and this kid like total shit because he was in character. He had to be a heel. He didn't want to break that. Everybody knows that Chris Jericho right now is the guy who punched at HBK's wife in the face. That's who this heel character is, and he got in so much trouble because this dad and kid were getting really upset that he was just ignoring them and talking down to them and treating them like shit.
Gotta keep kayfabe, baby. Yeah, and there's also the other thing because there's just people who don't like treating people nice, who are faces. It's like I'm not, like I can't keep being this nice,
right? It's always great when you can when people are able to keep character and understand who their character is.
It's like The Rock, he didn't really become a true face till he got rich. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When they stop letting him just insult people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, when you're rich, you start insulting people. It's like boo, boo.
Ooh,
These are real boos. These are
You're
real
a heel
boos.
now.
Yeah. So I did plan on making like myself some hot cocoa and drinking hot cocoa through the show, but now I am drinking whiskey honey because they do a little sweet little burn. To get me through this episode tonight. As you see that wearing tie-dye. I know. I look like I have I went through Reinhold's wardrobe, but
You should have said something. I would have buddied up and got some. I have some tie-dye I could have wore.
We should do that during the summer. We should do an episode, get the lavalier mics out and tie-dye for an episode. Sit out there on a Friday. We can do it on a Friday episode. We do a long form Friday at the studio, tie-dye in front of it, right? While we're doing it. Because they'll drive on this stuff. Because we do it at the beginning of the show, right? They'll drive on the end of it and be able to put it back on.
We were I was probably 7 years old, and we were doing this like summer camp at this park right next to where I live at. So it was like a 1 week thing where I would just go for the day and then go back home. And while we were there, one of the things we did was we made candles, wax candles, and then we did tie-dye. Right. So that was fun. That was a good experience to learn when I was a kid how to do tie-dye.
Okay. All right.
Right. Hippie like me.
I've done it a couple times, but I don't keep tie-dye in my wardrobe. But also my wardrobe is mainly graphic tees of anime or video game stuff. So I mean, that's just how my wardrobe is.
Yeah, and your Coheed and Cambria cover band gear.
I mean, obviously, but that's for later. I had to keep an entire chest full of flannels just in case.
I feel like Goodwill just pick you up a bunch and just so you can have the photo.
Just have it.
So summer is hippie, winter is grunge. Is that what we're doing?
I mean, that's fair.
That's fair. I enjoy the wardrobe changes. So this episode, we actually do have a topic to talk about. No, we're not. Get in line with Vincent's angriness. No, we're not going back to stuff like that. One, because I've got to watch Gundam Unicorn, and I have been busy and I haven't picked it back up. Because there's I kind of remember Gundam Unicorn, but there's a key change in it that I don't remember, and I couldn't really spell it out. So okay, I got to rewatch this thing.
It's fair.
When I talk about, you understand what I mean, or if you've watched Gundam Unicorn, you understand. But the flip I'm talking about that happens in the show. All right, so but we are talking about, and which I wanted to talk about is which I brought it up to a little bit on Saturday when we were recording the big show, and then it went off in a direction, which I didn't want to go off into, which I like, which Reinhold does what Reinhold does, sees anger and charges for like rhinoceros, and I had a wave in front of him, hey, no, what it is, I wanted to talk about DC movies, and he thought I wanted to talk about Henry Cavill, and that is not what I wanted to talk about. I
just thought that's what precipitated it. That's
yeah. Technically, it did because it brought it up to the forefront. So
but also James Gunn, just in general.
Yeah, James Gunn in general. So as everyone knows, Henry Cavill is not putting the cape back on to be Superman. I don't care. I don't like Superman.
Mhm.
I don't care. Don't care. I don't care.
So sad.
Don't care. What I do care about, what does bother me, right, is the potential rebooting again of the DC cinematic universe. And they're trying to make a DC cinematic universe or just rebooting the series. And what I have concerns with going forward because of James Gunn's post and everything else we're talking about is what's going into the future of DC movies. And there's a whole superhero movies in general is what I have issues with. So this is what the discussion was going to be for a little bit tonight. If we don't stay on to it, to F and back. This is our show. We do what we want. We talk what we want.
All I can say is if you guys don't want James Gunn, just tell him to come on back. Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special was so good. I'm sure that the third one's going to be great. We could use more James Gunn in Marvel.
I agree, but I feel like the biggest issue with DC stuff in general has always been that they can never pick a consistent idea across all their things that they're doing at any given time.
Yes.
Right, but don't you think that this is the perfect person to actually complete that process, to actually do that?
No,
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Because he's not Kevin Feige. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I just don't think he can make a cohesive. I don't think he's the guy. If he had to make a cohesive cinematic universe, I don't think he's got it. If that's their biggest plan, he ain't got it. I don't think he's got it.
They're trying. DC is trying to make James Gunn the new DC version of Kevin Feige.
And why I think it could work, I have a lot of skepticism and a lot of things that I'm worried about just in general for DC as a whole, not just James Gunn running it.
Right.
The issue, one of the big things is that they're restarting everything again. They've been, I'm sorry, Scoucha, but I'm really not. So we'll get into that later. But for DC's movies, especially after they tried to cash in on this whole we need to have a shared universe thing, that because of Marvel, they never were able to fully connect together a lot of things for their series, because you have things that are supposed to be comedies that have the same emotional and interesting feel as things that are supposed to be serious. So like Man of Steel and the original Suicide Squad movie shouldn't feel as close to similar as they do. And I feel like that is one of the bigger issues of the universe for DC, is that they can't really seem to pin down a way to move their universe in the same direction without copying pasting.
Right.
Yeah, but do you think maybe that they accept that, and that's why they went out and got James Gunn? That they want somebody to come in and do what you say that you want done. He's just going to do it by taking it back to the beginning.
Now, I can understand the need because you think something is so awful, take it down back to the studs and start over. Okay. All right. We've all seen the studio. We all understand. Take down the studs and start over. Okay. Don't fix this. But that's my thing is, it's like, I don't want to watch Martha's pearls drop on the ground again. I'm done with that. I've seen that way.
I would love to
times.
not even see a Superman or a Batman in DC. I want let's
they ain't got
examine
nobody.
other characters.
They ain't got nobody. They ain't got nobody to make running like that. They're
bringing Lobo in. They're dumping Aquaman finally. They're bringing in Lobo.
Jason Momoa to they effed him up like, I'll play Aquaman. Whoa. This is a great Lobo. But the thing is, to bring Lobo in, how are you going to introduce Lobo, right? How do you bring Lobo in? The thing is, hardcore fans know exactly who Lobo is. Someone's going to watch that movie 5 times, knows exactly who Lobo is.
How many non-hardcore Marvel fans knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were?
Right, and I agree with that. Where you're coming from with that, Reinhold. But the other thing is that while they have a lot of, as of right now, there's a lot of general ideas. where some of his ideas so far that we know of, we don't know a lot yet.
Right. We're going off
can
tweets.
have potential, right?
Yeah, we're going off tweets.
You go have leaks and the little things he said
Right.
can have potential. We don't
Right.
know that James Gunn is going to write Lobo. He could just be, this is how I want Lobo to fit into what I'm writing. That's just the kind of how the Russos were with the Marvel movies for like the second half of most of the most of phase 3, where they didn't have full control of what was happening to the other characters, but they knew where they were going to go with them. So while Lobo could potentially be a good movie that people want to go see, there's also the other flip side of Morbius, of a character that nobody knew, nobody cared about, and then it came out and it just flopped, and it was so mediocre that it became a meme on the internet because it flopped.
Guess what? Watch Morbid Time. I put that on. I can put Morbius on. We
I
can not watch it together.
Gonna go the Judge Dredd route, but
I mean,
hey, Judge Dredd was good. Okay, that was good.
Which one?
Both
I was
were
thinking
good.
the Stallone one.
Yeah, they're both were good.
I love Stallone, but his Judge Dredd was terrible. Man.
Oh, come on! It's so cheesy and good. You sit there
with
with your
cheese with a
popcorn and
Stallone
just let
movie.
it
There's
go.
so many other areas to go with. You didn't have to go down another route. You already had Demolition Man. Just keep on with that. Do another Demolition Man.
But the remake, what? Oh, that remake is so much better. Like I think I watched that like probably like 5 times. I'll admit that. Not in the theater 5 times. I'm talking about at home.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Reinhold. Didn't James Gunn do Brightburn, if I remember correct? The movie that was basically Dark Superman, but he was like evil, but it was just Superman.
I can look that up. Let's see.
It was just like basically a Superman movie.
Well, you guys research that. My other thing with it is because the other thing was like I don't want another. I'm tired of superhero origin stories. Right? I don't care. This is how they got their powers. Speed up, faster. You all own streaming services. Do a 15-minute small episode and put it there for people who don't know this thing, and then let the movie just start. Let the universe start. I wish they would write it like when they're restarting everything, but start with the Justice League intact. Either it's getting ready to form, but all the people are introduced and they know they exist. You write like they know them exist, just like almost like how the CW writes it as they know there are other heroes and people are out there, but they can't mention them or talk to them. Cool, just do it that way. Like even the freaking Arrowverse at one time was like, crap, there's magic. Let's get Constantine. Calls him up. He's in effing hell. Okay, get Constantine. Okay, I can understand stuff like that. But I don't want to like. It's not trying to tell me that we're rebooting Superman, which is okay. All right, rebooting. You get a different actor, younger. Okay, I understand that. I can get behind this. But it's not an origin story. But he hasn't met Lois Lane yet. He's still working for the Daily Planet, so is Daily Planet like a blog? It's like it's like Tim Pool's show. What come on, it's definitely not a newspaper. Okay, all right.
Well,
And
what
it
did he do with
can't be like, and it can't be like CNN, right? Oh, because JJ, it's basically like the Blaze. Okay, it's basically a podcast. Okay,
well, they did make it a podcast in the Spider-Man games, which was honestly some of the best parts of the Spider-Man games. We're just swinging around, and JJ is just like, "Listen here, the Mr. Negative is doing this thing, but it's really Spider-Man's fault anyway. Like, yeah, Mr. Negative is bad, but it's because of Spider-Man that we don't have any credibility to take care of these people."
Yeah, but in like Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they tried to do something like that when they did the Hydra flip, and they had a guy who was basically 24/7 Alex Jones, just propaganda for Hydra at the time, and it was interesting to see how they developed that. Yeah, it was really good.
I couldn't suffer that terrible show that long.
It was so good.
Oof, that is wrong.
The fourth season of that episode, that show is
right. So
TV perfection.
Wow. Hot take. Whoa. Wow. Reinhold. Oh, right. Reinhold.
Reinhold also openly said that it's like one of his favorite shows from Marvel in general. So I mean, that's his opinion on that is basically because he really likes it. It's the best of something that he liked, which
I'm
is
not
a
the
thing
only
that people
person
do.
who says
Oh,
that.
of course not. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
There's a group, a reacting group called Blind Wave. They started watching Agents of Shield. Near the end of that 4th season, he basically turns to the camera and says, "If anybody says this isn't the best TV on right now, I will fight you." And then it did a fight thing,
which is fair. Which I mean, I haven't seen it. I can't
I'll fight
argue either
anybody
way.
right now. I'll fight anybody right now if they try to tell me Agents of Shield is good. I'll fight you.
Oh,
right,
it is.
You want to
It
fight?
got really good.
It
had to build on,
show,
but
and if you want to fight,
the
we can fight.
the first 2 seasons, I will give you. The first 2 seasons had issues, but that 4th season was perfect.
I gotta get So you really should watch anime. If you get through 4 seasons before it gets good, you should probably watch
anime.
I enjoyed it for you, Reinhold.
I enjoyed it before because I understood what it was, and I got it, and I was cool with it. It was fun to watch. It was like a fun candy bar, but they started serving steak in the 4th season.
It was not a candy bar.
Oh man, Reinhold, if that's how you feel, like I have a show called Attack on Titan, where the first 2 seasons are trash, the 3rd one's really good, and the 4th one everybody's like, this is the best thing in anime ever. And now they have the final season, part 3, which doesn't make any goddamn sense, in my opinion. Why do you have 3 parts for the final season?
I will watch show. I mean, think about Supernatural. The first 2 or 3 seasons of Supernatural weren't the greatest.
It was okay.
They hadn't found their idea. They hadn't found their footing. They hadn't figured out what the show was about until the second season.
It was different,
right?
And
it became great.
Yeah. It wasn't no Agents of Shield bad. Agents of Shield was just I forced myself to
disagree.
Oh man, it was like I
think you were just in the wrong mind space when you saw it.
What mind space should I have been in? Expecting to be entertained?
No, just the mind space of, hey, this is a nice little, because what they were trying to do the first 2 seasons of that show were to take all the Marvel movies and kind of show you what's going on in the background behind those movies.
That would have been awesome.
That's what they were trying to do.
They should do
that. But they were hampered by a lot of the things that were going on with the movies at the time. Like they had to wait to do a reveal until the movie hit. Then that week is when they had the impact of it happening on the show, and they had to do stuff after that.
So poor timing of episodes. So what you're saying, it could have had better. It could have been better if this was on, if they had Disney Plus back then and could control the release schedule better.
Yep. Yeah. I think so.
Okay. All right. I will give you that only because Fox is a piece of shit and fucks up shit like that. And Disney fucks up anime and Netflix too. You're not getting away from this, Netflix.
But
y'all suck.
I will say I am not one to slog through something that I don't enjoy until it gets good. So for me, that's not. I can't. Like we were like, you should watch Attack on Titan. It gets good at season 3. I'm just like,
it depends on how bad of a slog it is. It's like with Supernatural, wasn't a slog. It was a fun little show. Yeah. But it wasn't what it was going to eventually be.
Exactly.
There's just a lot of shows like that where they start out rough, but they find their groove later. And the question is can you enjoy what it is at the beginning with the idea that, oh, this might get better. I can see where they're kind of going with this thing. I'll give it a chance. Or is it just, this is terrible, I can't stand watching it, I don't even know why I'm watching it.
Yeah. I think I could, I think a lot of it also I couldn't get over, as we just jump into Agents of the Shield bashing here real quick. I couldn't get over Sky was the goofy hacker person, girl that is the key to everything, main character, who had ProTech hair.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. I couldn't get over her character and her bad said, "We're Legion." Da, 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 da. Oh, we found you on here. Oh, we've got. Oh, my password is locked by GPS. It's like, you're fucking Shield. You can't.
Yeah, but once she became the superhero that she was,
you can't
intended to be.
No.
Day one,
we're Shield. Your passcode is based off of GPS. Yeah, cool. We run that website. We run the GPS satellites. They're just up there. Hold on. We are what we say we are.
Her hacker thing was quickly abandoned in the second season. because
Yes, that
they
too.
had trajectory for her. They couldn't get to that trajectory until the idea of mutants, which aren't mutants,
You mean the
became
Inhumans?
something the Inhumans had to become a thing in Marvel
Mhm.
for it to be introduced in the show, and that's
Which
the
they
timing thing I
immediately
was
threw
talking
away
about.
because it was trash.
I love the Inhumans. There's that one guy who, if he spoke, could just destroy people. Where's that guy at?
Oh wait, they got rid of his mouth. Never mind.
Oh,
We'll talk about that
shit.
later.
Damn.
No, but they have like
And that
they had a
dog
lot
thing?
of great.
Where's that dog? Where's that big dog thing?
See, Agents of Shield had a lot of great
Mhm.
Inhumans on the show.
But where's the dog thing?
It came in and out. The dog. thing?
Lockjaw,
Yeah.
who's originally a human, because comics. But anyway,
And what they did though in the show is they did try to explain where Inhumans came from, and that was genetic engineering by the Kree,
yeah, of course, because that's how it.
the alien
Mhm.
transcribing inside the DNA string.
But the
So,
issue was that they tried to use the Inhumans to replace mutants, and they never caught on because there's like two noticeable Inhumans, and we just brought them both up, except for like Medusa
Oh,
because
yeah,
she has hair that she can control, and
Well,
those are the
Quake,
ones
a lot of
I
people
mean,
know Quake. She just wasn't in the movies.
because of Shield.
She wasn't in the movies, but she was
Yeah.
in Quake. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but if I told you to name 3 Inhumans, you'd probably go Medusa, Black Bolt, and the dog. and then I go, all right, name 3 more, and then we go like Quake, and then
Just that one guy?
the guy that is I don't know, man. I don't know. Leave me
Remember
alone.
that guy that could do the
Well,
thing?
Yeah, I know.
Because he.
I
don't
do
remember.
know. I know Inhumans because it's because I know comic books, and I would be like, oh well, there's the dude that's really good at who is really good at strategies, and his whole thing is that he's a tactician, and it made his mind better because of the Terrigen Mist and all this other shit, and of course
Well-
Kamala Khan, which they changed in the shows.
Oh, by the way, just to say, Marvel failed
Mhm.
in
A
not
lot.
taking that version of Ghost Rider they had in Agents of Shield and giving him a movie right then.
Okay.
They
All right.
fucked up.
That I will give you that. The Agents of Shield, it was slightly better than Nicolas Cage's version. Only slightly
Better.
I give it like
The
1%.
effects of him turning
1%
into
better,
it was so
1%.
beautiful. It was so
1%.
good.
1% better than
Robbie
Nicolas
Reyes was
Cage.
10 times better.
1% better than
Nicolas
Nicolas Cage. 1%. Just 1%.
But
But you have to understand how good Nicolas Cage was.
but going
Okay.
back
Nicolas
going
Cage.
back to DC,
You got Ghost Rider was mine growing up. Trust me, I had episode. I had issue 1
But-
when it first came out. That was my
Mhm.
jam.
Nicolas Cage gets that bump that he'll just keep working once the checks keep coming, and it doesn't matter how big the checks are, he'll just keep coming in. I don't know why Disney never signed him much because he would just keep showing up. He would be in everything, all right? Like Ghost Rider
Well,
should have
and
been.
Well, what gets me is
He
that
would have been. He would have been in
had Robbie
She-Hulk.
Reyes.
Nicolas Cage would have been in She-Hulk.
Oh, sure.
He would
Robbie
have been.
Reyes was in Agents of Shield. He was doing a great version of Ghost Rider. They showed how it went from Johnny Blaze to him.
Mhm,
They covered that. It was great.
mhm.
And now they're talking about doing Ghost Rider again. It's like, well, we're not going to bring Robbie Reyes in and blah blah blah. And I'm like, why not?
because they're
You have
trying to go with
established.
they're trying to go with what's in the comic books because that's the thing is that
Robbie
because there's,
Reyes
like,
is in the comic books. This
I
is
know,
not
I know,
like
but he's not the current Ghost Rider.
the current
That's
Ghost
the thing.
Rider.
He's not the current Ghost Rider.
Well,
Danny
people-
Ketch is the current Ghost Rider, and his whole thing is he could turn anything into a Ghost Rider because comic books are stupid. He's like, oh yeah, this eternal body that we're having the Avengers work out of, he possesses it and turns it into a Ghost Rider. It's so stupid.
Ah, man.
So here's the thing.
All right. So
Here's the thing. Harry, no, I've got to say this. The reason why DC has the problems that it has
mhm.
is evidenced in this podcast.
What?
We came on here to talk about DC and how DC was doing what it was doing and what its
Mhm.
failures were and what its things were. What did we end up talking about?
how
Marvel.
trash Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is because you brought up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you had to know how wrong you are. Anyway,
we were
so
talking
back
about
to
Marvel
DC.
before I said anything about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You guys
Bring
start
up-
talking about Marvel because that's where all the interesting stuff is happening at.
It's not interesting anymore. Okay, it's not interesting. We're
But
talking about old
we'll
IPs
back
that
to-
are close
we'll
to 10
come
years
back
old.
to- we'll come
But
back
let's
to
talk about DC. Let's talk about trash is. I'm tired. I don't want to see Martha's Pearl Shannon Girls. We don't find out that
Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
I don't want to watch this love story sprout between Superman and Lois Lane. I ain't got time for that. I've seen it. I've got 3 other Supermans doing this. Okay, what is like? I've got one with Dean. Like Dean Kane's Superman had did a better jump off than this. Yeah, Dean Kane, right? Dean Kane, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
No,
Dean
thank you.
Cain
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
You
I've
can
seen
probably-
Kane better. It's like, can we just have them be a couple, be a thing? Cool. They can be under their 30s. Fine. Just let them be a thing and go
Or
on. Okay.
Just take Gotham and continue on from there, from the end of Gotham. Use those
If you're-
characters.
They
if
won't
they're
do
going-
that,
if
but
they're
that's
going
good.
to
develop, they've got
I'll
older.
be fine with that. They should
That's
do
what I'm saying.
that. They should
Yeah,
do that. I'll be fine with that.
The thing is,
They
if they
won't do
want to
that.
bring all these characters in, they have a Superman prequel TV show. It's called Smallville. They had
Won't do that.
Smallville for a long time, and it was a show that was about a young Superman. We've had
Ooh.
seasons upon seasons of young Superman.
Also, Smallville gave us the Dukes of Hazzard reunion we all wanted.
And even in Smallville, they actually were pulled in more obscure characters. Booster Gold was in Smallville.
Right, Booster freaking Gold. And now
Booster Gold was in Smallville.
God. I've been like, okay, so the one thing like Vincent and I already talk about is that how DC misses out by not doing more stuff with Booster Gold and the Question. All right,
And Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and Blue Beetle,
and Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, right? Because like this is deep lore for most people, but they can do almost everything they want to do with these type of characters. If you want to have like a show explaining what the heck is going on and how things are connected, boom, you have the Question right there. You want to have some over the top, bombastic thing that are going on over the top. Boom, freaking Booster Gold.
You have a guy who literally comes from the future with a suit that is the only reason he's a hero is because he stole a suit from the future and came back into the past. And that's the only reason he's a superhero. And half the time he just dicks around with Blue Beetle, the original Blue Beetle, Ted Kord. They just dick around. There's literally a whole comic. There's a whole issue of the comic where they steal Martian Manhunter's Oreos. And he goes on a rampage to get his Oreos back.
Oh man.
And like there are plenty of deeper cut characters that are more like secondary characters in DC that never get a screen time because they keep trying to reboot the series over and over and over again. We've had 5 different Batmen in 10 years?
What's he? Keaton.
I said 10 years.
Keaton
Oh,
was
10 years.
90.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
89.
The last 10
So,
years. So we
Affleck,
had Affleck. We had the Robert Pattinson. Now we
Pattinson,
had
the
Christian
terrible one.
Bale.
Yeah, the terrible one.
Christian Bale. So we've had already 3 different super Batman, but not counting the TV shows, which technically aren't the same continuity. So we had the Batman in the Arrowverse and then Gotham, where they technically had Batman, but they didn't really show a lot of Batman. It was more set in their universe. And then we're not talking about Harley Quinn, which also has its own Batman. So you're under, and then you have the animated stuff, which aren't in the same continuity as anything else, but they also have their own versions of Batman, which are usually more interesting. That's where things become a mess.
The Harley Quinn show proves that you don't need origin stories. You could just pull people in and just let go. Let them explain, find out, let the people find out. Freaking the Harley Quinn show brings in so much like obscure lore sometimes that you have to know who the heck this person is or find out, like, or they'll just explain it,
Yeah.
Dr. Psycho.
What I think they should do, what I would like to do is take the already established stuff they've been doing on the CW, put those people into a film, just continuing on, and then have them encounter this new Superman, this new Batman, and then spin off those movies from it.
They would, but
Instead
they've
of
already
trying to-
introduced those characters in their own little universe. They literally have Supergirl and a Superman that shows up in the Supergirl show. So that since it would be interesting for them to have these shows.
It could just be a different actor. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and they actually have a Justice League building, unlike most of the Justice League. I don't know if you've seen that episode in the CW where they actually have the old school Justice League building. Which
the Hall of Justice?
It was the Hall of Justice. It was the Hall of Justice, and apparently it was on the Star Labs like buildings, like on their payroll, like they had that they didn't know they had, which was neat. It sounded like something Star Labs would do. Like, oh yeah, we technically own this thing.
There's just too much going on in DC, and too many hands fighting control, and they're changing every so often because and they're losing. It's like they were going to make a new Constantine movie using the guy who played in the show and who had his own TV show for a while. It was really good. And then, oh no, wait, let's go ahead and bring, Keanu Reeves back in and do a Constantine sequel and kick the other guy to the curb.
That's what I mean. That DC has, again, that's why I call it. They have an identity crisis, just like in the comics. They have no set identity, and every time they try to do something, everything is different, no matter where you're looking.
They need an overriding architect of the universe.
Yep.
Right, and I think that they realize that, which is why they got James Gunn. Whether he can deliver on it is a whole different story.
But they're doing it for the movie universe. But they're also going to have to, if he's going to build it from the ground up, you're going to have to reintroduce all these characters you've already seen before again. So he has to do something different. If he's going to put Batman in it, but not have Robert Pattinson's the Batman in his universe, then what do? Now you have two different Batman movies coming out that aren't connected.
Right.
Well, you do what they did with Spider-Man. You just
different universes,
they all come together, bloom, 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 and then go away.
But that's the thing is that I would agree, but it's not more of. Imagine if they did that, but they did the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 of Sam Raimi came out, and then the next year Amazing Spider-Man came out, and then they weren't connected at all, but you still had two different Spider-Man movies happening at the same time, and then you still have Spider-Man 3 coming out while Amazing Spider-Man is there, and it doesn't connect. That's what I'm saying is that unless.
Well, they're going to put an end to that. They've got to, with an overriding director of that universe, they have to put an end to all of that nonsense that's going on. Yeah,
but he also said that he wasn't going to integrate the Batman stuff into what he was doing.
Right.
So that means that if they're going to use Batman, now they have two different kinds of Batman going.
And there's a Joker sequel coming.
There's a Joker movie. So it's like. There's so many hands in different pots that there's nothing holding it together. And if they want to make a massive connected universe, then they're going to have to pull in these non-connected things together. But he doesn't want to do that. He said that he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah. He wants to let that atrophy off and die, is what he's trying to say, right?
Sort of, but the Batman, people really liked that movie. People enjoyed Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, and there was enough of people who enjoyed it.
Batman. He was a good Batman. Right. He was a lot better than Christian Bale.
But they canceled the Batgirl movie, didn't they?
I mean that was before he took over.
And that was brand damaging. Okay.
Yeah. They said that was.
But was it partially also because they knew they had to get a hold of this and bring in somebody in, and part of the negotiation was that.
I mean, it could be. But that's behind the scenes stuff we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, what we know is that it was labeled brand damaging.
That and the Scoob movie sequel. Those two movies were so brand damaging that they got rid of them. That's not a joke.
Yeah, that's what it was labeled as. It's like, okay, how bad can this be?
But
we don't know. We don't know. We can stipulate.
I wonder if one day we'll see it.
No.
Somebody bootlegs it out or gets a copy somewhere.
I want to see it. I hope it comes out.
I mean, the original unaired Doctor Who is released.
Yeah, I miss that we're not getting Batman Beyond. We've got Keaton in a bat suit, and we're not getting Batman Beyond. That makes me angry.
See, It
Well, see,
it
there
would've
was
been-
talk about this bringing Keaton back to do Batman, and now they're abandoning it, aren't they?
because he
hearing.
came
because-
back in the Batgirl movie.
Mhm.
That was the whole thing. That he was coming back in the Batgirl movie.
So
But they also,
Val
you know-
Kilmer, Batman Beyond. Okay. Next
Well,
host.
Michael Keaton really needs to be back in the Batman, just for the Batman older, Batman
Mhm.
Beyond type.
Yes, that's what they need. Yes,
That
Yeah.
character. They need
Yes.
to do that somewhere.
yes.
Even if it's
Agreed.
not part of the universe, it's a side thing.
We could
That
get
has
Tim
to
Burton
happen.
back.
When
too
you saw
with
him
it.
in Birdman, you had to know that had to happen. He
Yeah.
should have been Batman.
But yeah, get Tim Burton back. Okay, all right. Tell him to put the. Come on, put Wednesday, down. Put Wednesday down. Pick Batman back up.
Oh,
Come on. Hey, come
He
on,
can do
come on.
both. See, here's the thing. He kind of ruined his brand for a while.
I mean, he definitely
He's back on brand now with Wednesday.
Tim Burton's always been on top.
There's a lot of people who are like, Tim Burton's
Yeah.
done after some of the last, like Corpse Bride and some of the past beyond that.
Tim Burton's
You know,
always
Frank
been
and
like
Weenie
number one.
and
No, that what really got it was the Alice in Wonderland movies. That's what. That's
the
really
Alice in
what it
Wonderland was like the death.
That
nail.
that's
That
what
like
was what really
the
tanked his stuff.
line in the
Was,
sand. He's done,
it was both
and
of
now
those
he's
movies.
and now he's back.
No. Tim Burton's always been okay. Okay. All right.
He's got Danny Elfman working with him on Wednesday.
No,
He's
Tim
good to go.
Burton's
He can
always
bring him
been on
into a
top.
movie.
Never
He can
down.
talk.
He
He can talk to
talking
Michael
about-
Keaton, Tim Burton, talk to Michael Keaton, make it happen.
I know. Let's get
Everybody
it going.
loves working for Tim Burton. Everybody
Right.
who works for him loves working
Mhm.
for him.
Man, think about it. Like we could, you get Michael Keaton, you get Tim Burton do it, right? That means we could get old Nightwing with Johnny Depp.
Bring back Jack Nicholson as the Joker just for fun.
Oh,
Oh,
God, that'd be
It's Jack Napier.
Wouldn't that
Have
be
Jack
great?
Napier come back.
right old. Yes.
What it sounds like you guys want them to just do the Dark Knight Rises or the Dark Knight Returns. Is what that sounds like. If Michael Keaton do that,
No.
What was the
I
what was
want
the
Batman
comic-
Beyond. I want
I
Batman.
get that.
There was the
Batman
comic book that was the
Return of the
old
Joker. That's
Batman
Yes,
who had
yeah.
retired and came back
Yeah,
as
Batman
Batman
Returns,
Beyond,
yeah.
right?
That's Batman
Batman- so-
Returns. Batman
Was that
Beyond
Batman
was
Returns?
Terry McGinnis and
Mhm.
the young kid that was Batman. Batman Returns
So-
is old Batman comes in.
Yeah, old Batman.
with-
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
they should do that.
They're both old Batman in that.
Because that's what
No.
revived the whole Batman thought process. Because Batman was over until Batman Returns came back,
Yeah, that is true.
and that re-energized interest in the grittier Batman that was before, that wasn't really going on before it.
I don't want
Yeah.
gritty Batman. I don't want that. No.
But by gritty,
No.
we mean I'm talking more like what Michael Keaton did with it.
All right, that's fine.
It was
But no Christian
darker.
Bale
It
gritty.
was gothier. It wasn't.
DC
Aquaman's
Wonder Man, Superman, Batman. no, but yeah, Aquaman's done. No, I want Batman Beyond. No, but yeah,
And
I think
Spider-Man's
what-
not DC.
I think what
Let's
D-
know,
I think
Sterling.
what DC needs is the simple fact that you're right. They need an overarching architect, and they need someone that is not an individual contributor, but you're right, an architect. And I think, to me personally, I think James Gunn. I haven't really seen him. He hasn't really think of building a universe, right? Now, if he's got someone in his ear that helps him build a universe, because even people who have built universes have struggled. Like Favreau struggled, Josh Whedon struggled, but they need, they will also have some more leeway. This is a lot more money, a lot more things, a lot of moving parts into it, and the idea of giving it to
A
this
lot
guy.
more pressure on his shoulders too, because DC needs to have this happen this time. They can't have another flub or
But
failure.
what they should do, right, is use the Flash as the center point of the DC universe going forward. Like everything moves, find a Flash, pick your Flash, and just move to it. I suggest getting some older dude, the original speedster, and have him run into the universe and have everything like he's trying to fix things, right? I gotta fix the timeline. I've gotta fix the timeline.
I think one of the big things that that DC has trouble with is that they're trying to rush something that takes time, right? When you look at phase 1 of the MCU, right? Let's go back to phase 1 of the MCU. each of those movies were self-contained. They really didn't have a lot of connection to each other. That they were building to the Avengers, but each had their own individual story that they were telling that were
Origin
focused
stories.
on their characters. Yeah, they were origin stories, but it was more
Origins
because
we've
they
never
didn't
had
happen
before.
Yeah, exactly. They're characters we haven't seen before because Iron Man was what never had been in movies. Like all these characters were like their very first, except for like Hulk, their
Yeah, Hulk.
first big movies.
But then
So
let
these
Hulk
characters
have
we
like
hadn't
origin.
seen before, right?
Yeah.
So if they really want to do this, especially if they don't want to do origin stories, or if they're forcing themselves to do origin stories, because knowing them, they're going to try to force like a pseudo origin story, kind of like what they did with Spider-Man Homecoming, where they didn't show Uncle Ben dying and they didn't show that kind of stuff, but they like kind of touched on it and referenced it without going full-fledged into that being the thing. Is that each of the movies should be about the characters themselves instead of trying to connect them into something bigger. Because that's like almost all the movies they do try to connect to something bigger too fast. Because you had Superman and then Batman versus Superman. There was no build to it. It was just Superman movie and then Batman versus Superman. We're just gonna throw them in there. We're gonna make them make this universe happen. Oh, and then Wonder Woman also shows up because we want her here, and then we're also gonna put in one of the biggest bads, Doomsday, because we want him here. And it's just like you guys are rushing this too much. Like you want to do.
Oh, they added Lex Luthor too. That was the thing. Why are you throwing Lex Luthor in at the same time?
And they're just rushing all these things so fast because they want to try to catch up to the MCU.
Yeah,
because that was the big cataclysmic.
I think it would be. I'll be a fun billionaire show with like Lex Luthor, Oliver Queen, and Bruce Wayne hanging out talking about things. I think this would be a fun billionaire show.
What you do is you convince Ryan Reynolds to put back on the Green Lantern outfit one time to do Crisis of Infinite Earth and reboot everything.
Well, they probably
because Hal Jordan was the protagonist in that, the Crisis on Infinite Earth. This was back in the 90s, 80s. 90s.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I get that, and I totally understand that. But my issue, I think the best thing for them to do is to start with movies that are just about the characters. Because that's the issue, is that they're rushing these things. So, like, these characters it needs to be a movie that's based on the characters, that has their own theme and feel for each character.
Yep.
And they don't need a crossover. They don't need to connect to anything else. They just need a movie for that character.
Correct.
Like, I would love a movie that is either a buddy cop or a crime procedural for the Green Lantern Corps.
Oh, that'd be good.
You give me a Kyle Rayner is investigating a crime on a different planet, and that's how you introduce the different colored rings and all the other Green Lantern things. Because now you have a police procedural because they're the police of the space.
Yep.
You know how? So now you have a self-contained flat Green Lantern story that is in space. That now you can learn some of the space culture that aren't connected to stuff, kind of like what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Because when Guardians came out, it wasn't connected to all the stuff on Earth. This is what you're learning about in space, and they just go through that in that kind of way where each movie has its own feel to it, and if they come together, it's more authentic that they come together because. Well, now we understand how this character feels, and I want to see how this version of Barry Allen connects with this version of Kyle Rayner.
But see, what they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy is they did still tie it into what was happening in their Thanos thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So do we talk about doing these individuals like you're talking about, but tie them into a big bad that you choose, like it's Darkseid or something, and then have them chasing down that at the same time, and that's how they meet in a later movie, like the Avengers did.
Yeah, it could just be subtle connections to it.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it should be Darkseid as the first big go around. I think, that's
I'll just throw him out as a name. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because Darkseid's a heavy hitter, right?
Right.
That's
here's what honestly, if we were going to, if I was gonna like theory craft a DC universe, I would have movies that are in particular.
Orange Lantern Corps is still the best.
Each movie will have their own in particular character that they're focused on, and it has hints to what this massive event's going to be, or you have small connections to what's going to happen.
And with someone, with someone like James Gunn, you can do that,
right?
Because you have an overriding architect, and that's, I think, what was missing the last 20 years of DC movies.
And I agree. Again, like I don't know, I haven't seen him build it, so I'm going to be cautiously optimistic on how he's going to make things work. But it also depends on the writers they get to write the movies and the characters they're going to use. Because I would much rather see, you know, if we're going to do a Batman story, we do a gritty detective, or no, we don't do gritty. We just do a actual detective story where Batman's being a detective, compared to it being, you know, whatever. It's compared to being angry and pissed off over things, compared
Angry
to
Ninja show.
Or if they do a Superman movie, I want him to be the light and the positivity that he's supposed to be in the DC universe.
Yep.
He is the beacon of hope in the darkness. He is the alien that understands what being human means. And the fact that none of the movies can capture that part of Superman is frustrating. So I want a bright and shiny Superman movie.
Yeah.
And while we can still have a dark and kind of dingy Batman movie, I honestly want them to be a detective movie with Bruce Wayne and Tim Drake.
Oh, that'd be good.
And it's like Batman and Robin are investigating, and the criminal can be one of the lesser or less important criminals. So it could be like classic Penguin, or somebody that is, or Two-Face, classic Two-Face, or somebody that's already established as being like a crime lord without it having to be, oh my God, it's the Joker immediately.
Right.
Or, oh my God, it's Bane or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you take that detective and you make Tim Drake have a large dog who talked like this, ruh-roh, then that would work too, right? Sorry.
Terrible.
I just had this vision in my head. I just had this vision in my head going,
oh, that's Scooby-Doo in
and
there.
you're terrible, and you're terrible. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
and yeah. But you're talking about the reason why Wonder Woman works so well.
Right. The first Wonder Woman was really good because it was a period piece that was good. It was good up until the third act, because the third act they decided to shove it into being the superhero mold for no reason.
It was really good as a woman empowerment movie where the protagonist woman ends up running off with a guy as her worth. So
I mean, that's how all the Wonder Woman stories are. To be fair. To be fair, but I mean, we don't want to go into classic Wonder Woman because that's a whole other can of worms.
Raise your hand if you would not have ran off with Wonder Woman.
I mean, you have a point. I would definitely run off with Wonder Woman if given the opportunity. But I mean, if we're going to talk about Wonder Woman, I mean, if we're going to talk about classic Wonder Woman, where she came from, you have to talk about the fact that originally the original writer like made her weakness bondage.
Best weakness.
And like her being tied up made her lose her powers.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So
it's science. It's
perfect science. Yeah.
Classic Wonder Woman is a whole other can of worms. But it's one of those. It's more interesting to have individual movies about characters instead of forcing it into a big massive thing, and that each character should have. Yes, it should be a movie about a strong female character. You don't need to have a theme for it, Paul.
Oh man, it was.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, but the Wonder Woman was good. I didn't want to watch it because I was never been a huge fan of Wonder Woman at all. You know, her characters just mean nothing to me.
Right, like if we're going to use,
not shocking to anybody.
Right, just
I only know really about her Justice League, and I watched the old TV show too. So. Yeah, the spin and the.
I didn't watch the TV show and really care too much for the Justice League.
I grew up watching that, and then watching Shazam, and then watching The Incredible Hulk. Those are my shows growing up. Yeah,
but it's them having. They need to understand that you're making a shared universe, the most important thing is to make it about a character without forcing the connection
Yep.
to everything else.
Don't force a
And-
connection.
Right, and like that was one of the things that was why I wanted to talk about like superhero fatigue.
Mm.
That's why I have it in the title. Is that like currently in the Marvel stuff,
Mhm.
I'm fatigued about watching it because they're trying to force everything together no matter what.
Yep.
Like the three, like like Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki. They were all connected to things that already happened, and we're trying to make it so it's all important connections together. And then you
Mhm.
also make WandaVision, which could have been a standalone movie. Now it's immediately connected to another mainline movie. And it's just like all these things are now forced to be connected
Mhm.
to make, because they want it to all be connected.
Right.
And they kind of losing the concept of the natural growth of these things are coming together because
Mhm.
these characters are doing their own standalone things. Even the movies that weren't like the best, you know, Ant-Man wasn't the best movie, but it was its own thing. It
Mhm.
had its own situation. Like Scott Lang was doing his own thing over here.
Yeah, and you felt like it was in that same universe. Don't trust the
Right.
start. Don't trust the start. Don't do like so. You like all right. It was in the same move the universe. You could feel
Right.
it, but they weren't like having to be like forced connection. And you're right, and that's what it is losing. It's just like you just write the movie so it can fit inside the universe. And the other one is stop writing plot lines that just screw over every writer and director that comes after you. I think that happens a lot too. It's just like, and we do this, and then we're gonna kill this amazing villain.
Yeah, they did that a lot because they're trying to show the high stakes early on.
Mhm.
That's one of the biggest flaws of the MCU is they killed
Like
a
with-
lot of villains.
Like with what Marvel did to Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins movie that never happened, and we're not going to talk about.
What
That-
Fox did to Deadpool.
Whoa,
that was
whoa.
a Fox
True,
thing.
true. It
That
was Fox,
happened,
Marvel,
but the timeline was corrected.
Yeah, and Deadpool fixed
yeah,
that
it
timeline.
was eventually
Fix that
corrected.
timeline.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The
yeah, they
You can
they
get
killed
around
off
that,
they killed off so
It's
they
comic
killed off
books.
so many villains for
like
no
Mandarin
reason.
and Mandarin picked me up because that's a great villain. It's like this is what you do with Mandarin. This is what you do with the Mandarin.
Right, it's like they
I
killed
thought
off Red
that's
Skull no
hilarious.
matter what they did with it. They killed off Claw.
Fucking
They killed off Claw.
Fucking Red Skull. What are you gonna do with Red Skull? He's just sitting there menacingly.
They killed off Claw in
Sitting on a
in
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Right, quick! Like it was like 10 minutes into the movie. Yeah,
Right,
fuck
they
him.
showed
Fuck
him in Age of Ultron, but they killed him off.
him.
You know, they basically got rid of Ultron.
Yep.
Even though that's a massive character that constantly is
Right.
around for a long time. They just kind of slowly but surely picked off all of these interesting villains, and now they're gonna have to introduce the ones that they didn't have before.
Scrape that barrel.
No, it's the ones they didn't have before. So now probably the main villains are gonna be Doom and
Okay.
Magneto.
Now,
'Cause
Doom
they
would
didn't
be,
have them before.
Doom would be a good overarching team.
Which would be
Okay.
fine. But no, but they're right now, actually, no, that's wrong. They're doing Kang now. That's who their main villain right now is going to be, Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
But they
he was
also
good in the
like,
comics too. He spread across a
I know.
whole lot. Of
He's done a lot of stuff. But he's also had also times where he's like the younger version of himself is a good guy, and a bunch of other nonsense with Kang. Kang's a
We've
really
already
hard
seen
character to deal with.
We've already seen one of the versions of him that was a pretty good guy in
Mhm.
Loki, but
Call me when it's Doom all along. Okay. All right.
which I would agree with. Doom did try to purposely screw over Kang the Conqueror whenever he wanted. Like when it was what was it, Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars, him and Kang were just on a ship, and he's like, I want to be on this power. Kang go fuck himself. Because that's what Doctor Doom does.
Yep.
But it's more of like you killed off Thanos,
Mhm.
and even then you while they did a great job with Thanos was, and they basically gave him his whole own movie with Infinity War.
Mhm.
They killed him off, so he's gone. They killed him off twice, technically. You know,
Yep.
I'm hopefully optimistic what they do with Adam Warlock in Guardians 3, but we'll see what happens.
Everybody has anybody ever sat down and thought about the paradox that was created by the end of Thanos?
The indie game, how everything is. I mean, I feel like that they were trying to approach dealing with that with Loki, because he himself is a paradox, and they try to try to fix the paradox stuff with the time.
Yeah, but if they wipe the
police.
timeline, then none of the stuff in Endgame happened, and all half the universe is still gone. And I
They
know
just
that they
wiped the
said
timeline that Thanos came
did,
from.
but they did say in Loki that what they did was supposed to happen, or meant to happen, or whatever. But if it's meant to happen, then it happens. Then they've killed 2014 Thanos, who can't collect the stones and then snap to begin with, to set them on the path to go do that.
All right, so if the Eternals are on the Earth and they need humans there so it could sacrifice it, wouldn't killing half of them, make the Eternals want to fight Thanos?
He has a point there too. The Eternals would have showed up because that they're there, but
because they're there.
Didn't they have an explanation of why they didn't do anything during the whole Thanos thing? I thought that was mentioned in the movie.
Oh, it's because they didn't. They don't want to interact in human affairs. But your goal is to breed humans to get to a population. Don't. I give you a 15-minute YouTube video. I'll condense it down for you. That's all you need.
Yeah, it's me, but it's there's a lot of things that they're trying to push forward to because they want to.
They pulled one out of the bum. Yes. Yes, they pulled one out of the bum. But no, yeah, I can see it. Yes, the superhero fatigue for me is the over the topness. When they actually have a grounded character that are there, I still get this massive CGI, like Shang-Chi, right? Shang-Chi should have been this amazing martial arts movie, and it should have got me hyped. But instead, it's the same Marvel over the top CGI fest. And then since Disney's have it, there's no broken bones, there's no blood. It's like the problem with Shang-Chi is that it came after the movie Nobody, and we just saw a movie of somebody fighting on a bus, and there's blood, broken bones, and they ain't none of this in this. That's the other problem is Disney's holding the reins to everything, so we're not getting guns and gunshots. People are being hurt. I think the Netflix Disney universe, Marvel universe shows that the Punisher cannot exist in this Disney-fied crap. Also, so
we ended back up on Marvel too, by the way. Just like
this we're talking about hero fatigue now, but that's for a reason.
Yeah,
because
I was going to say,
go for it.
Well, I was just going to pull it back to DC just a minute for a small, funny little moment, and ask, who do you think should play the Wonder Twins?
Honestly, Olivia Munn and
Olivia Munn. Now we're talking.
And Kevin Pereira. You're the worst. I knew exactly where you were going.
I like it. I like the Olivia Munn in anything. Trust me.
Twins of all time.
Olivia Munn could read the news to me. I would be happy.
The issue is that for me, I don't, because I'm not into watching a lot of movies right now. I don't know a lot of popular actors or especially younger actors that would fit into the concept of being Wonder Twins, because you would want younger actors to do this. There's a lot of that kind of thing. There's if somebody goes, tell me who you think would be a good Wolverine, I don't know what to tell you, because if you want a good Wolverine, you need somebody who's probably in their mid-20s, and early 30s, because you want them to be around long enough for you to keep putting him into movies without it being
looking older,
without it looking older, until you want to jump to him being old or dying or whatever. So I don't know who to cast for that, because I'm not that in tune with actors and movies.
They got a cast for Wednesday they could grab from there, and they just throw them into the Wonder Twins.
No, I'm also hoping Tim Burton gets the chance to make a Adams cinematic universe. I'm hoping we get 2 more seasons. I
don't apologize, Escalja. I don't apologize.
We get 2 to 6 more seasons of Wednesday. We'll get a Pugsley episode, and I could really go for a silent Lurch show. Okay, just a silent Lurch show would be great.
He has to be able to say, "You rang." So
Shut up, Nostalgia. We're not going to talk about that till we do that media episode, Nostalgia.
Let's see. Yeah, you're
and I
just
get another problem with the end of Endgame.
Yep.
When they do the thing and they get rid of all the people who came from 2014 and they all go to dust, why does Gamora stick around so she could be in the freaking stupid Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Well,
why wasn't she dusted?
Exactly. But it's there's a lot of there's a lot of the logic loops and a lot of those movies you just have to go, well, okay, because
Tony Stark's getting ready to go. Oh, I better save Gamora. Okay, then
it's
move. Okay, up, down, left, right.
There's enough of that. But like, there's so much. The other issue I feel like is that a lot of people want to force cinematic universes. It's slowed down a lot now, but there was a lot of times we were like, we need this to be a universe of something. Guys, remember the Mummy reboot that they introduced?
They were trying to hold dark DC.
Yes, exactly. They're trying to do a
build on the first
dark Universal movie.
They had all these movies lined up, ready to go, and then the first movie came out and was so bad. Yes. It was literally franchise killing.
Yes,
like we're saying about Batgirl. Was that.
Yeah, see, literally, if they was able to make a bridge universe of like Tomb Raider and what's that other person with the Tom Holland and what's his name?
Nathan Drake.
Yeah, Nathan Drake guy.
The Uncharted.
Yeah, Uncharted. Do a universe of just them type of one.
Those adventure kind of things would be interesting, but they try too much to try to make it. You guys remember when they decided to try to make a Valiant comic book universe when they released Bloodshot, starring Vin Diesel? Which went nowhere and died because the movie was not very good. They try that a lot. It's the concept of forcing shared universes is frustrating because they did it with so many things. Because even now, like technically, they're trying to do a Ghostbusters universe with the new Ghostbusters movie, but like. Just make at this point, just make that movies hurts. Of things you care about.
That hurts, right?
They had a Ghostbuster universe with the comics, with the cartoon.
Yeah,
they had a
whole. I thought he was going to say 2016. Universe. That was great. Just jet him, just jet him right out.
The cartoon, man. It was
the cartoon.
That's when they had Slimer.
Have you played the video game?
No.
Oh God, like
the first person one that was actually really good, where you're basically playing an actual Ghostbuster.
Yep. You play the new recruit, really not Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters 3 video game. Oh yeah. Ryan, have you played it?
No, I haven't played it. I didn't know about it.
We'll send it to you and Steve. You can look at this thing. It's got the original cast voice acting in it, right? Well, okay, I'm gonna mention Walter Peck. You get Walter Peck. Walter Peck is back.
Yeah, they brought all the original voice actors back, and you're playing this recruit. But it's a really good one.
Walter Peck gets his revenge on Bateman.
By the way, Chris, I haven't seen the Uncharted movie. I've played some of the games, but
the Uncharted movie, it's good.
Chris says it's good.
It's good. It's good. The only issue is Tom Holland. It just doesn't feel like Nathan.
I also heard Mark Wahlberg just plays himself.
He does. It'd been a great.
Well, I heard that a lot of people were trying to get Nathan Fillion to play Nathan Drake.
They did. Ooh. Did you not see
10 years ago? That'd have been great. 10 years ago.
Did you not see that short film they did on YouTube where he was Nathan Drake? They did a short.
Well, they took it from other TV shows and stuck him in to make it look like a trailer or something like that.
Yeah. I think he actually filmed it. I don't remember, but they did a thing with him as like when he was fresh out of Firefly. He'd be a great Nathan Drake. He'd be perfect. That's the issue. Is like that's the other issue about movies is that no matter how great actor is in the role, eventually they're gonna get too old to do it. Right. Patrick Stewart is a perfect Professor X. Every time they have him, but he is exactly what I would imagine Professor X to be. But eventually, he's gonna age out of it, and eventually, it's gonna be impossible for him to be able to do it. Same with like them having the casting for Magneto and Charles Xavier in those X-Men movies were perfect. Ian
But I think
McKellen and Patrick Stewart was perfect.
they could bring Nathan Fillion into the universe if they did Dr. Horrible's Sing Along Blog 2. Did a sequel.
fair.
Harry's just like, what are you talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but like I don't know if I want it.
I don't know.
I don't want a sequel.
I really
You don't
don't.
want a sequel?
I don't.
I
I don't.
Dr. Horrible?
Unless the villain is John Barrowman. Okay.
Well, that we're talking. John Barrowman and Nathan Fillion playing against each other.
Singing.
Oh,
And Neil Patrick Harris.
narrating.
Ooh. Oh, music. Oh, music. Oh, it would be
Neil
beautiful.
Patrick Harris and Morgan Freeman narrating
Mm. Mm.
against each other with Nathan Fillion and John Barrowman. That would be good.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. Make that happen. Somebody.
Yeah, the superhero movies have gotten to this point where they're trying really hard to capture the magic of what that first big arc of the MCU was.
Yeah.
And because a lot of the characters died and a lot of the characters' stories have ended, they're trying to
I think the shows are actually more entertaining than some of the later movies are. Like WandaVision was very unique and very good. Loki, very good. Hilarious, fun. You know, the Werewolf at Night, Guardians of the Galaxy's the Christmas special. Perfect show.
Well, I haven't seen Werewolf by Night. I feel like that's exactly what I mean. It's a movie that's standalone with its own character that even if it has some connection to the outside world, it's meant to be this thing by itself.
Okay.
And while it can connect to other things, it's uniquely Werewolf by Night.
But just like WandaVision was basically her story of what happened to her, it was still within the larger universe. It's still tied into things that happen, but it was limited to her and Vision and the new, Rambo character.
My issue with WandaVision was there was way too much Darcy for that movie, for that show. That was my issue. Is that there was way too much of that.
20 minutes of it.
No, she wasn't. She was the main crux of the outside of the world things.
Just for a little bit. I mean, not really.
Agatha's
the one that stole that movie.
That show, I
Catherine
agree.
Hahn.
Later,
she was wonderful. She's the one that was the big thing in that movie. I thought that Darcy was much more of just a bounce off to the Rambo character.
Yeah, but again, there was way too much. They spent way too much time with her outside of the Wanda bubble, in my opinion, because it was half the show for most of it. But that's just me. I feel like they spent way too much time.
She was just the person who kind of figured out that it was a TV show, blah blah blah, and then she was pretty much done. She was kind of relegated to the side. I thought she had too little time. I thought she needed to be in more.
No, I mean she was more
not so much in more, but more. She had more to do.
I feel like they spent too much time with her, but that's just me. But that's more of I wanted like that.
Sculptor says the early MCU had breadcrumbs. New movies gives you egg or flour or yeast, and you don't get anything unless you watch 3 other movies and mix it together. Honestly, I'm just still shocked that Marvel doesn't also do a comic book and a video game, but
Oh, because they don't care about the comic books. And the video games, they license those out. That's why when Insomniac's going to do this Wolverine game is going to be awesome because it'll be rated M and Wolverine can just murder people.
Nice, awesome. All right, so we've decided like some people do have some superhero fatigue. I think there's a lot of good stories to tell, but I feel like they're still staying the same one. So like the Marvel checklist is a real thing. You've got to have massive CGI fight at the end, Skybeam, choreographed fights. We've got to kill some henchmen that you don't feel nothing about because
you do realize that they know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they're aware of it now because they made fun of it in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
Just
totally ripped
yeah.
themselves.
I
a
don't
just
new one
because they're aware
on
of
the end of
it
that movie.
doesn't
Yeah,
mean
just-
they're not going to do it.
They're going to keep doing it. They didn't do it for the end of She-Hulk.
like
She-Hulk ended differently.
There's a difference of being
But-
aware to it and
yeah.
executing it correctly. Like the CW, to me, the CW knew their formula with the Arrowverse, and they just stuck with it.
But that's the other thing, right? Is that was the TV show. The movies,
Mhm.
almost every movie has ended with a big even Wakanda Forever ended with a big CGI fight at the end. Like even though they know
Skyping.
it's there, even though they know it's there, it doesn't
Yeah.
change the fact that they do it.
I just love the fact that they were talking about these movies have a formula and it always ends up with this big fight, and they were saying everything that we're saying right now, and so they're aware of it now. Whether, like I said, do they do anything about it or not, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But
the other issue, there's a big issue in general with the comic book stuff, is because comic books in general, as a physical medium, reading it, have died down even more than they were when the MCU started. Because comic books are slowly and methodically lost ground over and over and over again, and people have stopped reading. I can thinking of the last big Marvel event that anybody knows and cares about. The House of X, when they decided to make the mutants live on an island by themselves. And the last DC thing was Dark Knight's Death Metal, where it was the sequel to Dark Knight's Metal, and they decided to go, here, you guys like the alternate Batmans? Here's even more alternate Batmans that are dark, I guess, because it feels like comic books have lost a lot of ground, not just because the stories are so interconnected, but also when big things happen, nothing matters. Like, we're doing this big crossover event that takes over all these books, and then it's over and everything goes back to the status quo and nobody wants to talk about it, and it affects like one character a little bit.
How much of that is because a generation of people who would normally go buy comic books are just watching the movies now and TV shows? Because they're getting that comic book stuff there. So why go to a comic book store, buy this thing, wait a month, get another thing? And I mean, I think them trying to put the media out on digital is helping, but it's not the same thing either. It's not easily done. You still have to jump through some hoops there, and it's not.
The other thing, which is a thing that gets talked about a lot with the comic YouTubers and stuff I watched, is how much manga has eaten into the comic book market. Because as stated, because there's a beginning, middle, and end, and they're self-contained, and everything that happens in it affects everything else in the stories, people are more drawn at this point. They're more drawn to the mangas, because mangas have like 3 to 4 times outsold comic books at this point last year.
But do you think that's because the main driver behind buying those books are 13-year-old boys?
So nerds who buy comic books.
But it's one of those, that's the issue, is that comic books and manga are kind of the same market that they're looking for.
Right. And if you're a 13-year-old boy and you're looking at this comic book of characters that you can watch on Disney Plus, and you've got this book over here that's got all kinds of weird stuff going on in it that might titillate a 13-year-old boy,
but
which one are you going to gravitate to?
But I could also make that argument of there's an anime for that. They don't need to read the manga. They can just go watch the anime. It's the exact same argument, but manga
it's not as easy to get to the anime as it is. I mean, yeah, you can go to Crunchyroll or something like that, but you have to kind of know where to go get it. Whereas
Netflix has
Netflix.
Because anime,
Netflix and Hulu.
I admit, I don't know where to get anime at. I'm not an anime guy. I'm just saying
the show I forced Paul to watch yesterday, we watched it all on Hulu. All 26 episodes are on Hulu, and it was rated M, so it was an actual. They have all ages stuff on there.
And it wasn't a watch party; they all watched their individual accounts.
Jesus, but no, it's just as accessible as the MCU stuff. It's just more of the fact that manga is more self-contained, and the consequences last. Because in comic books, you're paying $5 a month, or if not more, for a story arc that in a year's time isn't going to matter.
Yep. Or they're going to reboot in 10 years.
Right. Or they shift the time scale and retcon everything and made it so that when Peter Parker was married, well, he's not married anymore. Or that stuff that happened was a couple years ago.
I have to say, it's part of the reason why I ended up getting out of comics.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading these, I'm going through all this stuff. Crisis Infinite Earth, we're gonna fix the timelines, blah blah blah, and we're gonna start over with these. And we had a reboot, okay, it's fine. And you got to do it again, and then you got to do it again, and it's just like,
yeah,
the reboots will continue.
This is the perfect. This reboot is perfect for me to stop.
Right.
I'll read the end of the crossover. I'll find out what happened, and then I can walk away.
Right, and that's why manga eats into that kind of market, because it gives the people who want to read comic books. I want to hold a comic book and read a comic book in my hand, and I want everything I've read to matter. Don't worry, people who are watching this. Future Diary is the thing I'm going to talk about on our next media episode. So, don't worry, we'll get into how bad and stupid it is.
Is Future Diary just DC and Marvel condensed?
Oh, it's stupider than that. It's stupider than that.
Okay, all right. We'll
trust me, we'll get into it. It's way stupider.
All right, you mean Image Comics, then, right?
Stupider than that.
I liked Image. I'm sorry.
But yeah, manga is basically giving the people that were into comic books and loved being able to read the stories and knowing that this character that I want to read, if I'm going to read Spider-Man, I can read this story all the way through, and everything about Spider-Man will make sense. They won't change it. They won't get rid of it. But instead of it just being in color, it's in black and white, and I have a thicker book of it, and I can keep reading it. And I know that these characters, everything that happens to them will matter.
Yeah, get some floppies.
Right. It matters to these characters.
Yeah,
and and that's really what pulled that's why the manga market is so popular right now, is because it's pulling those comic book fans that want to physically read a comic book and putting them in a place that that this story will have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and and the things that will happen to this main character is going to matter to this main character from chapter 1 to chapter 200 or whatever.
All right. Well, before this episode gets too long in the tooth, I can feel like we probably go another few hours, which,
I mean, I don't have work tomorrow, so.
I don't either.
I actually have 3 different servers to reboot because so at work we went over. I work for a small company.
I can chat you some PowerShell code and do those automatically at a interface time. Just
all the no, the Windows ones are done. The Windows servers are done. I've got Windows Administrative Center. Windows ones are done. It's the Linux ones, and not all of them are Ubuntu based. It's the other ones that I don't control, that I never built, and it's the legacy department that so I can't even use the Terraform stuff messing with it anyways. So I've got to wake up early in the morning, get those booted. Those got stupid names too, which are some of them are kind of cool, but some of them are kind of dumb. So I've got to reboot those servers, and then I still have to. What is it? I've got 3 different. Yeah, I've got work to do tomorrow. I'm sorry. So I have Wednesday off.
No, that starts my my pain week and a half. I work every day until the 30th.
Well, I'm on vacation, but Wednesday's when the snow is going to start hitting, and I got to get I want to get some stuff done outside while I can.
That's fair.
That's fine.
But no, I'm on vacation. I can do whatever I want. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Here, you go to your wage.
We can talk about science and stuff anytime you want.
That's fine. All right. Well, before the episode get too long in the truth, like I said, go on get hang up. Remember, all those listening this far, you're a true fan of Low Key Wall. You could have been listening to anything else in the world, but you decided to listen to this, and that I thank you. Remember, this is a live show, so if you're listening on a podcast form, remember we do this show Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. we go for about an hour. Today we went a little over. So most of the times we go a little bit over because we could keep talking. We also have our big show. We was going to do it this Friday, but we're pushing it back to next Friday. So the 30th, we're going to push and do our big 4-hour show. We're going to bring some people over from the larger network that we did talk to some of them. So we're going to get some more people pulled, which this might be so not this one, but the one in January. We're probably gonna do that next one in person, hopefully. I think we got I think that one will have the tent set up so Ryan Hill can just camp. So he'll be ready for the big show the next day. Granted, it'll be snowing, but he'll be fine. He's a tough guy. But yeah, so remember,
dependencies.
Yeah, remember this. I want everyone to come and enjoy this show live. I think that's the best part of this show. If you enjoyed it, had some of the fun, come be in the front of the show live. Join in the conversation. We have a lot of fun here. You're doing these episodes live on Monday nights. So once again, I want to say thank you for listening and say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
They're waving for the people listening to the podcast.
I said bye, everybody.
They're waving.
Yours didn't get registered, by the way.
Well, you talked over me. That's fine.